Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 4. We are on episode 4. We are halfway through this season of Ducks. I know it's not called Ducks, but the nickname is sticking. So that is what we're recording as. It's just one of those episodes, people, be warned. We are talking today about low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is one of those things that is a massive area, and it literally goes through so many areas of people's lives that we're never going to cover it in this podcast. Let's put it that way. It is not one of those things we can really even start the top of the surface with a single podcast, but because it is so important to people, we don't want to miss it off of our first season. So we are diving into low self-esteem today. And we're talking lack of confidence in yourself and what you're doing in the world. I know a lot of people have things like, well, okay, I don't like the word imposter syndrome, so I'm not going to use it, but everyone knows what that means. So yeah, we're going to be going all into low self-esteem today and how you can start building your self-esteem up and not leaving it in the gutter. So welcome to episode 4. Cherry, you're going to start us off with a story about anytime you've had low self-esteem in your life, or what you think about it, or go for it. Go, Cherry.
I think everyone's low self-esteem, sort of, you think everyone's is different, but I think it all comes to just negative self-image, negativity. It comes down to that inner negative voice. And I think some people, if low self-esteem is exactly that. It's about yourself. It's about your vision of your abilities. It's about how you view yourself. And it doesn't come from nowhere. I think it does come from previous bad experiences, bullying, negativity, hearing it from other people, negativity from family, from friends, from parents. Like, you don't want to put that onto other people, but it doesn't come from nowhere. And it can build up. And if you're not someone who is practicing ways to really focus on how to make yourself feel good, it's easy to fall into that trap.
I agree. We're not born with low self-esteem, are we?
No.
We don't come into this world thinking, oh my God, I was born and I'm all wrong. It just doesn't happen.
No, you're exactly right. And it's also amazing how well people can hide it when they have low self-esteem. Like, you think someone with low self-esteem is going to be the person with a coat zipped up to their face, hidden in their hood in a corner. No, you can have the person who's on the stage singing and dancing and have this outward perception of, wow, I'd love to be like them, they're so confident, and they could go back to backstage and think, oh my God, why did I do that? I bet I looked awful. I bet everyone's laughing at me. And it's that internal voice, and it's learning to speak nicer to yourself and build yourself up, really, because your self-esteem, yes, it's lovely if somebody comes up to you and says, you look absolutely beautiful, like, you must feel amazing. And from my own perspective, I'm someone who very much suffers with low self-esteem, and it's got to the point that I now, probably for a lack of, and you're probably going to go into coach mode after I say this, but I'm somebody who, I've got so far in my life with such low self-esteem that if somebody gives me a compliment, I immediately believe that they're lying to me. And I can't accept compliments. I think they're making it up. Why are they saying that? They're just trying to make me feel nice. And instead of going to take the compliment and listen to it, I think there's a lot of trust in there as well. Like, even the people I trust the most, I'm like, do they really mean that? And you do it to yourself. And I think if you don't know how to be compassionate with yourself, then it's never going to get any better. Self-compassion has to come first, I think. There's a lot of bricks. I think there's a lot of bricks, and you build up those walls. And I think once those walls are so high, it's a case of, right, well, I can't see the positivity over this big brick wall of negativity I've built, so I'm just going to live here in my little sad house.
You have all these automatic stories that you tell yourself, and like you said, people who you think are the most confident, I know personally, I don't have a very high self-esteem, and people are like, "But you're so confident." I'm like, yeah, okay. Um, it's that, yeah, okay. I think once I also had someone I was talking to had come up to me and they go, "Oh, I'm gonna lose weight." I'm like, "Okay, that's great. Go for it." "Oh, I didn't want to tell you. I thought you were into body positivity and you were," and I'm like, "You have no idea how much I struggle with that sometimes." And this was years ago now, and I've done a lot of work, so it's a bit different now. But at that point in my life, I really wasn't body positivity. I was proper beating myself up continuously. But because I presented a way that was confident and comfortable,
Mm.
they seriously didn't think I had ever had a problem with my weight, and that was a huge thing for me that I'd struggled my whole life with.
Wow.
And it was just completely hidden, and I wasn't doing it purposefully. I just didn't want to show the world how much I hated myself at that point.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, you just because you're the person next to you presents a certain way, don't assume that they feel that way internally.
Mm.
And having low self-esteem can be really destructive, especially because we hide it.
Yeah.
Like you trying to someone gives me a compliment, I'm like, do you mean it? Do you actually mean that? Or are you just trying to hide something else in there? You know?
Yeah.
So
Instead of going,
I
thank
get it.
you.
Oh no, now I've trained myself. I'm like, thank you. And it's so awkward when you first start doing that. When
Yeah.
you just start accepting and actually taking the time to feel a compliment, it feels so uncomfortable if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
It's like the most uncomfortable feeling ever. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, don't overanalyze it. Just accept that someone's being nice. You're
Yeah.
nice to people. Why can't you accept other people can be nice to you?
That's exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah, it's almost like it's the top tier masking. That's what it
Yeah.
is. It's, you are presenting something that you do not feel on the inside. So it's
Yes.
basically like a I don't know, it's like a fruit. Basically, whatever that's outer skin is, you're
Mm.
showing that. It's not the same as the inside, but you're just only showing that. You don't know if it's ripe, if it's rotten, if it's dry. You don't know any of it, and it's that you really don't know. And I think it's that teaching. I think masking is huge in so many different areas. Like you can pick it up from every single point of like mental health. Really, it's a case of hiding away from the world. And if when your self-esteem is on the floor and you believe that you're not worthy of things, or why should I get that, or people, I don't look nice so people won't like it, and it's just constantly hearing that in your own head. It's got to be absolutely exhausting. And I know that if I'm going out and I'm not 100% on how I feel or I look, I could look absolutely fine, but if I feel a little bit uncomfortable that day, I immediately assume everyone's going to know that. Like they're going to
Mm-hmm.
look at me and go, oh, I know for a fact she's feeling bloated today, look at her, look at her. But how is anyone going to see that? But it's
Yes.
just you're feeling it too much, and it goes into your brain, and you're just like, that's it. Everyone knows that I ate something wrong yesterday, and now my tummy hurts. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah. It is, like I said, it's shockingly good at masking. Even I still do it. I still definitely mask when I'm uncomfortable.
Mm.
Last night I went to you know this already because I'm trying not to share how much pain I'm in. I went to yoga for the first time last night, and I walked into the room and there's a person taking photos, and I'm like, okay, I can deal with this. And then I realized that everyone else in the room was in black pants and I'm in llama pants.
Love your
Because
llama pants.
why wouldn't I be in llama pants? Because it's me. um, but the point is now that when those photos come out all over social media, there's only one person whose butt is going to be in those photos in llama pants. and, and
I love
I'm
it.
like, I'm not sure that my self-esteem can take this, to be honest with you. I'm like, there are limits, but where
Yeah.
are the limits? And I've worked on self-esteem for years, and I still slip in those moments where I know that I'm uncomfortable with it. And like you said, if you're having a off day and you're bloated or something, and it can make everything so much more difficult and so much more tiring to be so stuck in a space of over criticism of
Mm.
ourselves. You
Yeah.
know, it's exhausting. It's exhausting and it's cruel. Why would you bully yourself?
Yeah.
Why
Especially
do
if
you
you're
do it?
someone, yeah, who wouldn't ever do it to someone else. Like, it's
No.
strange because you can look at it two ways. Like, when those photos pop up on social media and you're seeing the pictures, you know, I suppose you've got to also look at it another way. Like, what if there's two people in that room who has a big drawer of these funky leggings, and they thought, I'm going to wear my black ones. I want to blend in. I don't want to stand out. And then they go on and go, someone was wearing funky leggings. There was only one of them, but there was a lady wearing llama pants, and I'm doing
Yeah.
it. I'm going to wear mine next week. And like, if you go back and there's someone wearing it, you might have boosted someone else's self-esteem to go, I can do it.
Yeah.
Someone else did it. And, you might have felt really like, oh God. But if you were to then go back and see someone, that would personally, for me, would boost my
Yeah.
self-esteem. So it's strange. Like, it's hard because you say it has to be about you. It can't be about other people. It has to be, it's always, we live in a world with other people. We are always going to be influenced and impacted by other people, no matter how much we try not to be.
Yeah.
And,
No, this is where self-help and self-development have kind of got it a bit wrong. We get obsessed with this view that we can't look outside ourselves as well as inside ourselves, but it's not true. In self-compassion, there are three key aspects. You have kindness, you had mindfulness, and then you have common humanity. Common humanity is this recognizing that you're not alone out there. Your shortcomings, what you're putting as shortcomings anyway, are a natural part of being human.
yeah.
And recognizing there are others that feel the same, and allowing yourself to be empowered by that. Kind of what you've just done with the llama leggings, and the photos. And part of being able to do something that was so uncomfortable for me and made my self-esteem really have to push it to have the self-esteem to go in there was that understanding that at one point, seeing someone who was plus size and doing yoga and in llama pants for me would have been like, holy God, how are they doing that? Does that, that would have been really inspiring to me at a
Yeah.
point where I felt really, really bad in my life. So, this common humanity and understanding that we all affect each other is
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah.
It's not just so you're right. It is other people. It is not the self-help and just us. There is
Yeah.
this really, really important part to building self-esteem is understanding that humans share similar experiences. It's that thing where we don't experience the experience the same as each other because we have all different pasts and histories, but that doesn't mean we're not together in it.
Yeah. No,
Hopefully that makes
absolutely.
sense. I went on a science spill, you lot. Sorry.
That's good.
Sorry to all listeners. I got on a high horse.
Not at all. I think it's important because I think some people do. I know when I was first sort of diving into mental health when I was younger, when I first realized, oh, you know what, I'm not actually loopy. This is actually a thing. And it's amazing how sometimes the science, the way they describe it, can make you feel validated. It's, you know what, this isn't just me. And then you read it and you think, wow, if this is a published scientific thing, that it can't just be me. Someone's done research into this. This is a
Yeah.
thing. And I think there are people out there who maybe are dipping their toe into actually paying attention to mental health for the first time, because there are lots of people, I know personally quite a few, who, not that they don't believe it, but they're
Yes.
very much a just push on through. You're fine,
Yeah.
push on through. And it's not that simple. And you will find the people who are like that and will live their life like that until they get hit by a bout of, I must be dying because I feel so ill. I'm like, that's depression. And they don't understand it. And then that's the sort of person you have to hit with some science. Like, you have to go, look, you might not want me to sit here and talk to you about mindfulness, but would you like to see some statistics? But
Yeah. Look
yeah,
at the mindfulness people. It's been researched, it's been proven. It's not
it
just,
is.
you know.
It is, but it's, everybody deals with things differently and everyone processes things differently. And we're not saying that any of those are wrong. Like if you are a science-backed person, there'll be a way of helping you. If you are someone who hates science and is a fully holistic, there'll be a way for you. And it's being, what's the word? It's being mindful that everyone works differently. And I think what we're trying to do is we're not telling you how to handle what you're going through. We're just hopefully giving you some tips on what might help.
Yeah, we're just telling our story and telling what's helped for us. And I know both you and me don't just look at the science, we look at a lot of what we would lovingly refer to as woo as well. I am more than happy to talk energy work with you any day, as well as the science behind these things. It's so individual in what works. And whoever's listening to this, please tell us what works for you. If you found something that builds your self-esteem, then let us know, and maybe in the next series you can pop on and you can tell us all about it as well. We always welcome more people onto our podcast and to join in these conversations, and provide just a realistic view of life. And that's the whole idea of the podcast, is to show everyone that what you're putting out there is kind of, there's so much behind it that it's really ready to be explored.
Absolutely.
And,
we are getting our
the
ducks
common
in
humanity,
a row, so to speak.
Oh no. No, I'm getting Cherry, honestly, every time.
I'm going to catch you out every single time.
One of these days we're going to get through one of these podcasts without one of Cherry saying
never.
One day.
Never. I refuse.
Never.
But yeah, I think if you are stuck in a low self-esteem spiral, it's very hard to stop it. I know. I struggled slowly. It's hard to pull yourself back out, because that negativity is in your head, and that's the one place you can't escape, because it's with you all the time. And you could try and get out and about, but those thoughts are still with you. So it's finding techniques to be able to work through it yourself, because as much as you can go and sit with someone, that's great, and we'll always encourage therapy and counseling and coaching. We'll encourage all of that, but you need to have techniques you can do right now, things that can help you to just see a little bit more positively and to see yourself in a nicer light. Because in the end, you have to look at yourself as if you're talking to somebody else. Like, how, if you would you talk to someone? You might be a nasty person, so if you are, then carry on. But I know we might have all of these. But it's for example, I wouldn't dream of speaking to other people the way I speak to myself. So why do I deserve that? And I don't.
Yeah, I've worked a lot on self-compassion and mindfulness and catching my thoughts and all that kind of thing. So I'm actually not too bad nowadays. I'm quite kind to myself in my head.
That's brilliant.
But I definitely was in a space where I know how hard that is. And if anyone's watching this and wondering why I keep completely bending like this, because my dog is destroying something in the background.
I thought it was because
very distracting.
I thought it was yoga related stiffness.
Well, it might be that as well, to be honest with you. But for whoever's not watching this and just listening, you can't tell. I'm kind of bending each and every direction to try and see what my dog's doing behind my computer screen.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
So what would you say from your experience, because you are much more experienced in this than I am, what would you say is the best way, if you were very much starting out in your low self-esteem journey, if you wanted to build up and say, right, what's the first thing I can do to help with self-compassion? What would you say is the best thing to start from the very ground?
Oh, that's such a hard question. There's so many things you can do. It's like, which first?
Even simple.
It's kind of, yeah, it is tag teaming it in a way. Because you want to start, the main thing is catching your thoughts. If you don't know what you're thinking and you're just letting it all just freely run up there, then you're not going to get anywhere with it. Because how are you supposed to change things, learn from things, if you're just going la, 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 and ignoring what you're thinking?
Yeah.
So it's finding a way that works for you to catch what you're thinking. I know I've talked to many people over the years who find this really hard, so they turn it into something physical. I know another coach, I'm going to drop his name because it's definitely his task, not mine. Elemental Empowerment taught me this one, so I have to mention them. But they would tie a knot in a piece of string every time they had a thought as they went through the day, and then be
Wow.
able to go back over it at the end of the day and kind of work through those. And another coach that I know would suggest making a list, and having a list of every time they thought something, they'd start writing it down. But it depends on what kind of person you are and how you can start processing that.
Yeah.
So it's catching your thoughts is the first main one. And it's probably the hardest one as well, because we're not used to catching them. So every time you kind of, how I did it was I set it on a certain phrase. So when I first started, if I would start off a thought in my head going, oh God, how could you? Oh, no, hang on. I don't need that thought. What can I turn that into instead? What can I switch that around to instead of, oh God, how could you? So I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this and it's going to be okay. And that was how I first started switching it around.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's how it worked for me. So find your own rhythm, find how you can catch your own thoughts. Maybe just start with one thought pattern that you want to catch every time it pops up.
Awesome.
And then
for
the
me,
other half of this,
no, it's fine.
Is building new thought patterns. So sometimes when they're popping up all the time, you can't think of something to replace them with. So have like a list of 5 positive things that you can replace them with. So if you're thinking, my outfit looks really horrendous today, have a list of something like, I look beautiful, something you can read, kind of an affirmation or a good thought or gratitude that you can put in place of those thoughts.
Yeah.
So there you go. I have stopped now.
No,
I can honestly give you so many tools. I could go on all day. Self-esteem it's not a quick journey. It will take time to replace a lifetime's full of teaching.
Yeah.
But that's why we want to catch it young. And Dreamweavers wants to come into schools and homes and home education, help people understand they can start building this before it starts. We can start building high self-esteem. We can start having resilience and gratitude and being happy with our body image from a young age instead of building low self-esteem. We want to switch that around so this doesn't be great, wouldn't it? A world where no one had low self-esteem. Can you imagine?
Be amazing. It'd be incredible. I think from what you said, I know exactly where I would begin, because you more than anyone know that I'm a one for constantly putting the words "this is stupid but" or "this is silly but" in front of whatever I say.
Poke you whenever you say
but that would be a great place for me to do. So whenever I feel myself going, this is silly but, just go, why do you think that? You're just trying to protect yourself in case it's wrong. Just say what you want to say. Like,
switch it over. It's not a silly thought. I have this great thought instead of this might be stupid. No, this is a great thought. Feel how uncomfortable that feels, Cherry.
Oh God, can you imagine
see the look on your face?
The uncomfort. Be able to, I don't want people to think that there's any way I might be coming into it thinking, oh, I'm right about this.
Must not coach Cherry on podcast. Must
sit
not.
in the uncomfort. I know, but it's a good teaching lesson, because a lot of people are like that. A lot of people will lead with self negativity to avoid someone else saying it to them. And that was my protective measures the whole time. Take the mick out of myself before somebody can do it, because it will take the edge off it if they're going to be nasty to me. And it's an exhausting headspace to live from, and you don't want to have to do that. But yeah, I think as we've said in previous podcasts, it's starting early. So with children, so it is very easy, especially in this day and age of social media where everyone's living a perfect life. Children are seeing it earlier and earlier. They're seeing it earlier and earlier. You've got toddlers who can pick up and use a tablet before they can walk. It's and they're going to be seeing all this stuff. And
I'm not going on that rant. I'm not going on that rant.
I do have a point, I promise. But it's a case of being, even if you have to do not a chart, but a little, every day have a little picture of a human body, and you go over with your children and say, okay, let's label 5 things that are great about us today, or even 2, just one thing that you love about yourself today. And if you encourage them to actively think about the positives, and adults can do this too, you know, even if you're feeling horrific and you're like, you feel like a troll that lives under a bridge, like you can do that, but look in the mirror, go, I love my eyes. My
The
eyes.
image
I
that's
love,
in my head now, Cherry. Did you have to? Honestly,
yeah,
I have a troll image in my head under a bridge now, looking in a mirror. And it's
absolutely. Because even a troll under their bridge can like their eyes.
yes, no,
But
you're right. You know, challenge that talk. You know, if you're saying I'm bad at everything, no, ask. So, what's one thing you've succeeded at today? What is one thing you've done great? If you've had a really bad day, find the one good thing in that, because I can guarantee in the worst of days, there is one good thing.
yeah.
It might just be that your coffee tasted good. It might just be that you smelt something you loved, but there will be something in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's remembering as well that the bad days do end.
Mm.
Like it's a bad day, it's not a bad life. And you have to really, yeah, I can see you bouncing. It's
To interrupt, there's no such thing as a bad day. There is a bad moment.
a bad
I'm like
moment.
dying to interrupt there.
No, I love it. But that's again it's changing your perspective, because you could go, oh, this one thing, I baked 3 cakes yesterday and they all failed. And I was so angry because I wasted ingredients, I did all this, I did all that. And I was really annoyed and I thought that's ruined my day. I had a brilliant day yesterday. Like we did loads of good work yesterday. My daughter had a fantastic day. She learned loads. You know, at the end of the day, she was like, so what you're telling me is there is lots of spare cake. Am I hearing this right? And so
yeah, why do you live so far away, Cherry? Otherwise, I would be there for spare cake.
so she had a wonderful day because she was like, we're going to make custard, we're going to have cake and custard for pudding, we're going to do all of this. So she had a wonderful day. And yes, it was frustrating. Yes, I'm having to change my schedule because I'm having to do the baking at another time, and it's moved things along, but it's nothing I can't fit in.
Yeah.
And you know, yes, I was really frustrated at the time because it was annoying. You know, you're allowed to be frustrated, but
Yeah,
don't let
God,
that
definitely.
frustration wreck the rest of your day.
Yeah.
It, yeah, and I know people
That's
say,
why I say you have a bad moment, you don't have a bad day, because you know, I used to do it all the time. I'd wake up, trip over something, go splat, something would go wrong. By the time I got to 9 o'clock, that's it. I'd written the whole day off.
yeah,
You know, it was just not productive to get anything done in this world, and
yeah,
it's not productive to feeling good either. And it's not productive to being healthy to write off a whole day
mm,
because a few things have gone wrong. You know,
yeah,
and that doesn't help your esteem, because if you're writing off a whole day, you're putting down your whole life, you're putting down everything you're doing. You know, you're not building yourself up, you're not encouraging the
mm,
realism of doing things. And you know, there's another way we can build self-esteem. I'm throwing tons out this time.
it's
We can
great.
kind of we can set realistic goals. And I don't mean all the boring smart goals. I can't stand them. They do not work for my brain at all. My little neurodiverse brain cannot do smart goals, for love nor money.
I don't
But
even know what that is, so
I'm not even going to tell you then.
it wouldn't work in my funky brain anyway.
Google it. But it's, you know, setting goals that work for you and that you can hit is, it builds self-esteem. It's one of the main ways to build self-esteem. But it's
Absolutely.
also understanding, you know, when you're doing these goals, you're emphasizing that you're learning and you're improving when you're doing them, not that you have a perfect ending.
Yeah.
So it's the same, you know, you're looking at a growth mindset instead of a be all end all perfectionism mindset. You're looking for what I can learn from it, what I can learn, what I can, I said learn twice, what I can grow, what I can kind of bring forward from it,
Mm,
instead of the ending goal. And that's kind of the same as what we were just talking about, where you can write off a whole day, or you can learn from the complete muck up of I've fallen over the dog, I've trodden the water bowl, I've spilt a cup of tea, and it's
yeah.
not even 9 a.m., I'm going back to bed.
Yeah.
Or you can learn from it and move on. You know, I spilt the water bowl, I did this, really shouldn't have left the water bowl next to the area I was going to tread in when I was half asleep.
Yeah.
Let's move it, and then let's move on with the day.
Yeah.
And that kind of growth mindset and the realism of I live in the world, I'm not perfect, I'm human,
Yeah.
will really build your self-esteem in the background. It might seem like a little thing, but it will really start building it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of a really powerful tool to building self-esteem.
Definitely.
So no more calling yourself stupid, otherwise I am going to just set an alarm somewhere on like something that will go off
Shock
every
collar.
time every time you say the word stupid, you're going to have an alarm somewhere.
Stupid shock collar.
Oh, don't.
But no, it takes time. It takes time. It takes
You've made me
practice.
flap.
Sorry. Like a duck.
I will cry. Right. It does. It takes time. It takes practice. And to be honest, sometimes it can also be something that professional help will really help. You know,
Absolutely.
it's there are so many self-development things out there, but self-esteem, especially, sometimes we don't even notice it.
Mm.
And a professional who is used to spotting it will be able to go, have you realized you've said this about 10 times in the last hour? And they'll be like, of what? And it can be the way you use words. It can be, there's so much behind it that a professional can really help you with self-esteem. So
Yeah.
yes, everyone listening, take these tips, do them, and tell me about it. I really want to hear how this is working for you. But at the same time, reach out and work with someone, to be honest, I'm a coach. Work with me if you want to, but work with someone to help you get through this.
Yeah.
So you can have that going forward. Because sometimes it's the smallest things will make the biggest difference.
Absolutely. I think it'd be wonderful if whoever is watching this, tiny little challenge, if you can say one thing just in the comments below or whatever, one slightly uncomfortable positive thing that you'd normally be negative about. So for me it would be, my face doesn't look that awful today. It sounds really awful because normally I'm incredibly negative. Put something below that you would normally talk negatively about yourself. Swing it. Be positive. Be compassionate. Like, I'd love to see what you all think. It could be anything to do with ability or work or home life or emotion or physical appearance, but there's something that you are negative about that deep down, be kind to yourself and say it. Once you've said it, you'll realize how easy it is to say it. So yeah, pop it below. We'd love to see what your sort of internal low self-esteem is, because we can help you through it.
And what you're flipping it to.
Yeah.
Make sure to put in there what you're flipping it to. And if you're not able to flip it, then keep an eye on the comments, because I'm pretty sure someone out there will be able to help you flip it. And if we don't comment back instantly, which is more than likely to happen.
It's the trouble with having two ADHD people trying to work something.
Yeah, we'll both comment at the same time, completely different things. It'll be really good. Right, I think we are coming to the end of our self-esteem episode, and it has been, like I said, we could go on forever with self-esteem. Is such a huge area that affects so many people and can really make a difference in life. And it can take time, but you can definitely make a change. This is one of those ones that I can guarantee you can make a change.
Yeah.
Because I've been there and done that, and now I'm recording these types of things, which years ago I would never even assume I would be on camera, let alone talking on it. Because one of the biggest things I would have beaten myself up for was, well, with my how I'm neurodiverse and other issues that I have, my speech goes and I forget my words and I get brain fog, and I have moments where I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what word it is that I want to say. And at one point I'd have been really conscious of that. Now I'm just like, which word? Ip dip. Can we guess a word here, people? And I will kind of feed into it more. But at one point that would have really worried me. And I would have really, really, really worked myself up to not doing anything and stopping myself. And it's not worth stopping yourself doing things that could really be something that you love for your self-esteem, which we can definitely make a difference to.
Absolutely.
So that was episode 4
It
of
was.
Ducks, and we are all done. Can you please like, subscribe, follow, comment, do whatever you need to do on whatever platform you're on, and we will look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.